Good morning. This is our Win the Listing presentation with Bob Roby. We are starting a little bit into it as I forgot to push the record button initially, but we haven't gone very far, so you'll get pretty much the gist of everything Bob's going to teach us today. So off we go again here.
And I'll just recap real quickly. David, if you could go back to the interview track part, there you go. We start down at the bottom, and again, my purpose in this interview process, and not to repeat too many things for the people that have sat through the first 3 or 4 minutes of the boring presentation, but the purpose is to help people make good decisions, and then we're going to try to arrange the job interview. We're going to identify if these people are number threes, which they're never going to hire you. If they're a number one, they've already hired you. Or if they're truly people that are interviewing me and other agents as well for the job. And you can do that with just a couple of real simple questions. Ask them if they've bought or sold a home before. Ask them if they have a particular affiliation with any agent that they may have worked with in the past or that has been recommended to them. And you'll be surprised at some of the answers you get. Yeah, my brother-in-law sells real estate and he's been over, and well, that may be a tough one to win, but I'd still go ahead and try to go for it in most cases. The people that have already hired you, now Steve says, sign them up and shut up. But I think we still need to tell them what we're going to do and how we're going to work and how we're a little bit different. But the people that this interview system or this approach that really it's effective with are the number twos. These are people that really have not made a decision as to how they're going to proceed. So by qualifying the sellers, you can identify which group you're actually talking with. The next thing in the little system here is he has a thing called the silent salesperson, which is kind of a resume, if you will, of you and maybe some of the characteristics you and your company possess. We have some brochures that you can order as a Berkshire Hathaway agent that would serve well for that, where you could have something that you could get to the people actually before you go and meet with them. I'm not a big advocate of that necessarily. In today's world, you might want to send them something via email, an attachment or something like that, kind of give them a little bit of information about you. But then we're actually going out to the house, and that's where the visualization comes in. Again, go back to the athletic analogies. A lot of athletes, meditate before their games or their practices or whatever, and get in their mind, in their mind's eye, how things are going to go. And this is the same thing in an appointment with some people. Is you need to clear your mind. You need to, leave your cell phone in the car, clear your mind, and visualize how your appointment's going to go, and how you're going to finish this interview track, because you're not going to have this in front of you and when you're sitting down with folks. But it's pretty simple. Sounds kind of silly. Visualize yourself ringing that doorbell so that when you go up there, you're ringing the doorbell, you're smiling, you're in a good mood. You pay them a compliment, and then you end up going somewhere in the house. My recommendation, and Steve Woodruff's recommendation, is you need to try and get to the kitchen table. Why? Because that's where everybody gathers. That's where friends and family kind of congregate when they're over at someone's home. The living room's a little stuffy sometimes, the dining room, kind of the same thing. And it's good to be at a table so you can write stuff down and without being awkward and so on and so forth. So you want to get to that kitchen table. You want to break the ice, make a little bit of small talk. Not too much, but, some basic type questions that you about their kids or about some interests that they might have. If you have anything in common, just rapport. You need to build a little bit of rapport. And then comes the time for the big question. Now, in this seminar that we did, the Woodruff approach, we didn't know what that big question was, until week 4. So he kept talking about the big question, the big question. Everybody was wondering, well, what the heck's the big question? Well, we're not going to make you guys wait that long. The big question is, so can we go ahead and start talking about your real estate needs, and what would your ideal outcome be from your meeting with me today? And usually the answer is going to be, well, we want to see what our house is worth. We want to know how much you're going to charge us to sell our home. We want to know, how the process works. Whatever they answer, you want to be writing down those questions, and I would always then tell them, well, we'll get to all that. Get to your questions here in a few minutes, and we'll be able to answer all of them. So keep all those in mind. And then the next part there is where you bring them to the doors of decision, and that's where you talk about what your philosophy is. And my philosophy is you don't hire a real estate agent based on what they tell you the price of your home is. Rather, you should hire somebody based on their integrity, their skill, and the strength of their marketing plan and what they're going to do for you in order to sell your home and help you get on to your next move, your next position. And then I usually ask people, does that make sense? And most of the time people will say, yes, that makes sense. And if they want to focus on price, a good comeback that I've always used is, well, if that agent's going to buy your home for what they tell you, then that may be the reason to do it. But otherwise, I don't know very many agents that are actually out there buying homes at fair market value. So again, I think it's more important to focus on what that agent can do for you, their integrity, their skill, the strength of their marketing plan. And then we get to the series of questions. So David, if you want to go to the next one there, where we actually, we've talked to them maybe a time or two on the phone, and the good lead-in is, has anything changed since we last spoke? And then there's a suggested group of questions here. You can make up your own questions if you like, or whatever, but they're just kind of common sense type questions. You don't have to ask 8 or 10 or whatever, because some of them you may know the answer to. So I would just kind of go through and ask some questions that I might not know the answer to. Ask most people, how do you feel about this upcoming move? What are you looking forward to? When was the last time you sold a home and moved? What do you think? What do you feel a realtor can do that you can't do for yourself? Have you been pre-qualified for your next move? What are you going to do if your house doesn't sell? You can read the questions that are there.
Sorry about that.
And then as they're answering the questions, the very important thing is for you to write down the answers, and then to shoot back a summation of what it looks like their top priorities are, what their biggest concerns are, what they expect, and just ask them again, validate, am I on target? And most of the time, they appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to ask them some of those questions. So at this point in time, well, I should back up just a little bit. This is a two-way interview. You're interviewing, they're interviewing you, but you're also interviewing them. Because if they have expectations that are unrealistic, you need to be prepared to address those. And you need to be prepared to, on very rare occasions, you might have to walk away from them. Because if you can't meet their expectation, no one's going to be happy. But in most cases, things are going to be things that you can do, that you will be able to accomplish. And so the next statement or question is, yeah, I think I can help you, and I think we could work together. Would it be okay if we go ahead and continue? And I would like for you to take me a tour through your home and show me your home like you would a prospective buyer. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm not measuring the home. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm just going around and making notes and getting myself familiar with the property itself. So after we come back from touring the home, then the next $64,000 question is, well, you know, you got a great home here. Would it be okay if I showed you what my thoughts would be on marketing your home? I have a 10-step marketing plan, and I'd like to see if that would be okay for me to talk with you about that. And most of the time, people are willing to do that. Now, Steve tells you shouldn't have your laptop in there or your presentation. If it's another format, a flip chart or whatever, you shouldn't have that with you. You should have it in the car. Go out to the car and get it. Give them a couple of minutes to talk, because he says what they're talking about is, hey, this guy's a little bit different. He asks us those questions. You know, he hadn't even measured the house yet. You know, he hadn't talked to us about you know, commission or done any bragging on himself or anything like that. And I don't know if they say that stuff or not, but you know, it seems to make sense to give them just a couple of minutes to themselves. You go out, if you're going to come back and do a you know, a presentation on your laptop, then you have that so that you can go over the 10 steps to the successful sale, the 10-step marketing plan that you're going to do all 10 of them. And it's kind of important to do that. So you start out, and the first step in the 10-step marketing plan is to talk about enhancing their property. The first thing we're going to talk about, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is how to you know, package your home for a profit. You know, after you put your home on the market, it's really no longer your home, but it's a product for sale. So we want to make sure that we put it forward to folks in the best light possible. And there are some ways that we can do that. We've got lists of things that can be done to enhance the property and get it ready for sale. One of the things I like to do, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is to bring in someone, a stager, to help us give me ideas and give you ideas on how to best prepare your home for sale. If you hire me to be your listing agent, I'll bring that stager in. I'm going to pay for it for you. It's not going to cost you anything, but it's a way that we're going to properly prepare your home for sale. And then another way to enhance property for sale is to consider putting a home warranty in place at the time of our listing, so that it gives the potential buyer some peace of mind, knowing that you know, you're willing to stand behind your property with a home warranty that will cover mechanicals and so on and so forth. So anything that we can do up front, again, we'll have lists that we can go over together should you decide to hire me, that we're going to properly enhance your property to go on the market and to give it the best light right from day one. The next thing we're going to talk about is the price that we're going to ask for your property. You know, price is the first thing that people look at when they're out looking for homes. They want to know how much is it going to cost. So it's important that we do an accurate market analysis for you, and make sure that you understand exactly what the market is doing at the time. And I bring all that information to you. I'll bring the market to you. We're going to talk about it. You're going to understand how I arrived at my recommendation. And together, we're going to decide what the best price to ask for on your property is going to be. It is important to price your property correctly right from day one, because during the first 10 to 14 days, that's when you're going to get the most, or 0 to 14 days, you're going to get the most activity on your property. And if you're priced too high to begin with, that always leaves a bad taste in people's mouth, even if we end up getting to the right sales price. We don't want to eliminate anyone looking at your home because of the price, but we do want to make it the best price for you and the best price in order to get your home sold in the quickest amount of time possible for the most money. So setting the price and arriving at that is key. Ultimately, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, it's your decision on what the property is listed at. My job is to bring you the market and to provide you with accurate information on how I'm going to come to the recommendation that I do. And hopefully we're going to be on the same page on that. Sidebar, most of the time people have a pretty good idea what their property's worth. And most of the time, in my opinion, most of the time they'll say, yeah, you're right on. Because they do have a pretty good idea. Most people are pretty astute in that area. The next step in the 10-step marketing plan is to make sure that we give total exposure to the property. The more people we get in there, the more people that know that the home is for sale will only increase potential activity on the property. We do that by a variety of mechanisms. You have an internationally known nice Cabernet yard sign that goes in. We do some print advertising, and this is where you need to tell them what print advertising you do. Everybody's going to do something a little bit differently, or maybe not even at all. So don't tell people you're going to do something if you're not going to do it. But whatever you do, print advertising wise, or other marketing ways that you promote the property, you need to make sure that they understand what you're going to do and do that. Total exposure also will mean making sure that it goes out to all the various search engines, and we have a great way of doing that with our Berkshire Hathaway website that we have, and make sure that it gets out to all the various engines out there in addition to the multiple listing service. I always tell people, if people are looking for your home, they're going to find you. I don't know where it's going to be exactly, but they will find you. Another tool that we have in our toolbox is we enhance all of our listings on Realtor.com. So I make sure that Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you know that your property will also be enhanced on Realtor.com. I personally do some print advertising in magazines that I send out to some of my key center of influence people. So whatever you do, you need to let them know what it is that you do. So total exposure is going to be given to their property. The next thing in the 10-step marketing plan is to make sure that people who come to look at the property are serious buyers and have been pre-qualified. Now this gets a little bit touchy because we don't know who the other agents are bringing, but I usually will tell people that most agents will have had people pre-qualified before they start working with them, because they don't want to be wasting their time either. And obviously, when we get on down the road, we're going to be asking for those pre-qualification information that they've had. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you can rest assured that people that are going to be coming through your home are going to be qualified buyers and serious buyers, because in our profession we don't like to waste our time any more than you would yourself. So, pre-qualification is kind of a standard in the industry, and we need to make sure that people are pre-qualified to be looking at in the price range that we're at. The next thing in the 10-step marketing plan is to make sure that people are prepared to take action. So what I do, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is I'll have information at the house as well as online attached to the listing regarding most questions that buyers are going to ask. We're going to have utility information there. We're going to have information regarding the schools and churches and libraries and things that most buyers want to know about. We're going to have a sales disclosure form that's required by law. We'll have that available for them so that they can take that with them or get it as an attachment on the listing itself. Try to answer every question that might come up. And we'll have others that we'll get back to them on, but try to have it prepared so that they can be in a good decision-making mode when they fall in love with your home after they've seen how well it's staged and how well it's priced, so that they go ahead and are ready to take action. The next thing in the 10-step marketing plan is to successfully negotiate the sale of the property. When we get an offer, every offer is different. My job is to break that offer down, make recommendations to you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as to exactly what your proceeds are going to be from the offer. Should we accept it like it is? If there's things that we need to counter offer or counter propose to them, to be prepared to make recommendations to you through my experience and through customary practices in our area, because again, not every offer is the same, and you will completely understand the offer that we've been given, and we'll break it down and make sure that you properly understand it. If it's written and we're thrilled with it, we're going to accept it. If not, we'll do a counter offer and try to focus just on those things that need to be focused on. You know, there's lots of ways to get to the end result, and so it's important for us to determine what is important to the buyer and try to make sure that that blends with what's important to us. And one way that we can do that is the way that we talk with the other agent, as I talk with the other agent, either after receiving the offer or if we have some questions, we can find out what is important to the other party. You know, Buffini talks a lot about this, identifying the other party that's involved, and you want to try to get to where it's a win for each party. And then the last thing I want to say on negotiations is there's a quote that I really like by a guy, I don't know what his name is here. Yes, Chester Karras. So I'll give him credit. He says, in business, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. It's the same thing on, selling a home. We don't necessarily get what we deserve, but we will get what we negotiate. So negotiation is not to be overblown, and the experience and skills that we can bring as a realtor to our client is important on that. The next step of the 10-step marketing plan is to make sure after we do get that buyer stepping forward and we do have the transaction moving forward, is to make sure that the type of financing that they are going to be acquiring to buy the home is the right financing. You know, there's a myriad of different programs and different ways to finance properties. And as your real estate professional, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I have folks that I can consult with to make sure that the type of financing is the right type of financing, whether it's an FHA government program, a VA, a jumbo loan program, whatever the case may be, we'll make sure through the sources that I have and through my experience that the type of financing is the right one for us to go ahead and consummate our transaction. The next part of the 10-step marketing plan is to make sure that the transaction is worry-free, so that you as the seller don't have to remember to do things. That's my job, just to remember to do the things, to make sure that the details get taken care of. And the way that I approach that is I have a checklist. I have a checklist that I follow on each transaction to make sure that all of the details get handled, that the title insurance gets ordered timely, that the inspection process goes through smoothly and on time, and just to work through the entire process to make sure that we do not forget to do anything, because as we're all human, and it's important that we make sure that every detail has been dealt with at the right time. If problems do occur, which they may very well occur from time to time, when something pops up, though, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you're going to know when I know. And we're not going to panic, but we're going to work through the problem and come up with a good solution. So 80% of any things that might occur will be taken care of and dealt with up front. The other 15 or 20% that might come along, we'll deal with immediately. We're going to hit them head on. And again, when I know something, you're going to know. And then the last two things on the 10-step marketing plan that I bring to the table is my company. And this is where you can talk a lot about, both the national Berkshire Hathaway brand, the local company, and the strength of the more than 30 probably 33, 34 years now.
Yes.
That Realty Group Companies has been in business, and the respect level that our company has, not only the Berkshire Hathaway Company, but our Realty Group Company has throughout the real estate industry. This is an opportunity to brag a little bit on the company. And then you need to get into a little bit about, well, why me? And whatever you want to say there in order to promote yourself, I think is permissible at this point. I don't think we need to be, real braggarts or anything, but we do need to let people know that we're qualified and we're successful, and we have a great team behind us. In the company, the staff that we have. So they're getting more than just. I tell people, you're getting more than just me. You're getting, the whole team behind me that helps me do my job. So after that, I'll usually just close up my book. We kind of get back to the interview track, and what I usually say is, well, what do you think? And they'll say, well, we're going to be talking to another agent, or we've talked to someone else and we're making a decision. I usually try not to be pushy with them, because that's not my personality. I think you have to judge yourself and how you're going to approach the next part of it. But one of the things that Woodruff talked about, which I have used a lot, is, well, I understand that you're going to be talking with other people, or that you have talked with other people. The only thing that I would ask is, when you're doing your evaluation, use me as your measuring stick. How do I stack up against them? How do they stack up against me? How does my company stack up against theirs? And how does theirs stack up against us? So when would be a good time for me to call you back and talk about your decision? And just pretty much leave it at that. Set up that time, and then obviously call them back. So that's kind of concludes that part of it, David, unless anybody has any questions or anything else. Yeah.
So, Bob, thanks so much. We always talk about habits, attitudes, and skills from Buffini, and Bob has just given us another great system and technique for winning the listing. And we will send around some of the handout pages, that little diagram that Bob has, his list of the questions as well. We'll send that out to everybody so you can distribute it and get that out to your agents, and all the agents online can have that. So, having a new skill to add and to practice the habit, then using this, practicing it, and integrating the elements of this that you like into your own toolkit and your own approach. Hopefully you heard some things here that you can use. And for you newer agents there, this is a great technique to practice on and to use. And then all of this goes together with it, helping produce and reinforce that attitude of knowing that you can win the listing, which is crucial in long-term success in the business. So thanks everybody for tuning in today. We will finish up here, and we've recorded this. I will stop the recording here in a second. Where did it go? There we go. So again, thanks everybody. We will see you next Wednesday, and don't forget tomorrow for Tech Savvy Thursday with Michael at 1 o'clock. Take care, everybody.